The pressure was suffocating. Victor Brandt stared at the viewport of the Nautilus 4, his breath fogging the glass. Beyond the reinforced window lay endless blackness, swallowing the light from the vessel's floodlamps. The abyss had a way of making you feel small, insignificant. Victor had spent 20 years at sea, drawn to the dark unknown. He'd grown up on stories his grandmother told him about the Mare Valtis, an ancient sea beast rumored to devour entire vessels. As a child, he dismissed them as folklore. Now, miles below the surface, those memories clawed their way back. "Captain," Marina said, her voice strained. "The sonar's acting strange." Victor pushed away from the viewport, his boots clanging against the steel floor. Marina's monitor flickered with static distortions. Circular pulses radiated across the screen, but something large disrupted them. A shadow that seemed to flicker in and out of existence. "What the hell is that?" Victor muttered. "Might be a thermal vent throwing off the signal," Marina offered weakly, but Victor knew better. They were nearly 7 miles deep in the Challenger Deep. Out here nothing played by the rules. The lights dimmed, flickered, then returned. Simon the engineer groaned. "That's the third power dip in an hour," he muttered, shuffling from the reactor panel. "I'll check the junction cables." Victor nodded but didn't take his eyes off the viewport. Something moved out there just beyond the lights. A ripple like a body slithering past. The darkness seemed to breathe. Moments later, the ship jolted violently. Metal groaned and alarms blared. "What the hell was that?" Marina cried. "Impact from the seafloor?" Victor suggested, but even he didn't believe it. The vessel lurched again. This time, something scraped along the hull, a grating, deliberate sound. Victor grabbed the comms mic. "Simon, status?" "Static." "Simon?" A garbled scream erupted from the speaker before the line cut out. Marina went pale. Victor grabbed a flashlight and swung open the hatch. "Stay here," he barked. He climbed the narrow corridor, each step feeling like a plunge into darkness. The ship creaked, its metal skin warping as though something massive pressed against it. Victor reached the reactor room and froze. Blood splattered the walls, smearing in frantic streaks. Simon's body lay crumpled in the corner, twisted and torn. His face was locked in a grimace of horror, and his fingers were curled as though he tried to claw something away in his final moments. "No," Victor whispered. Then he heard it, a wet, slithering sound. A tentacle, slick and lined with rows of teeth, coiled around Simon's ankle and dragged him deeper into the shadowed recesses of the room. Victor stumbled back, slamming the door shut. "We need to surface," he shouted as he returned to the control room. "Now." "What happened to Simon?" Marina gasped. "He's gone," Victor said grimly. "We need to go." The engines roared as Marina engaged the ascent controls. The Nautilus 4 lurched upward, but the flickering sonar revealed something rising alongside them. The shadow moved with impossible speed, a coil of limbs and scales larger than the sub itself. "It's following us," Marina cried. Then came the sound of metal buckling. A tentacle, thick as a tree trunk, smashed against the viewport, its countless eyes blinking and shifting across glistening flesh. Its skin shimmered like oil on water, flickering between iridescent hues. Rows of barbed teeth lined its limbs, gnashing rhythmically. A gaping mouth opened at the center of its bulk, wide enough to swallow the Nautilus 4 whole. The sight jolted Victor's memory, his grandmother's whispered warning, "The beast always follows. It does not kill out of hunger. It kills because it remembers you. Brace yourself," Victor shouted. The viewport shattered and icy seawater rushed in, swallowing Marina's scream. The creature's tendrils surged forward, wrapping around Victor's waist. He hacked wildly with the axe, severing one of the writhing limbs. A jet of black ichor sprayed across his face, burning his skin. He screamed and kept swinging. As the pressure alarms shrieked, Victor stumbled back to the emergency pod. With a desperate slam, he sealed the hatch and launched the pod upward. Through the small window, he watched the Nautilus 4 vanish into the abyss, swallowed by the writhing mass of the beast. The pod shot upward, hurtling through miles of crushing black water. Victor barely felt the tears on his face as he clutched the console. His thoughts lingered on Marina's final scream, the gurgling cry cutting out too soon. Her face haunted him now, her terrified eyes frozen in his mind. Moments later, something massive slammed into the pod. The lights flickered, and Victor glimpsed the beast's shape outside, its eyes fixed on him. The tendrils scraped along the pod's outer shell, searching for weakness. Victor shut his eyes, whispering prayers between gasping breaths. A faint tapping echoed through the hull, soft and rhythmic, almost thoughtful. A slow, deliberate sound. It knows I'm here, and it's waiting. After what felt like an eternity, the pod broke the surface, sunlight glaring through the window. He gasped for air, trembling. Hours later, when a rescue crew found him floating amidst the wreckage, Victor could only mutter 2 words. It followed. The captain of the rescue ship turned to look at the waves. The surface rippled in concentric rings, as if something vast was stirring just below.